Good evening, Bulavinaka and Namaste. I'm Vijay Narayan. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. We're outside the studios again this week. This time we are at the Fiji Correction Center, Tangimodia Art Gallery here in Wallo Bay, just opposite the Korovo Correction Center. Now, this week we will be focusing on the Yellow Ribbon Campaign, a march that occurred in Nosori to remind people the work of restorative justice that is underway through the Fiji Corrections Service and the work that has been done since the program started. Whether the program is successful, whether it has challenges, how it has worked for inmates and now former inmates, we will be looking at all those issues, and we are also grateful to be able to given access to speak to current and former inmates in relation to their journey and where they're at the moment. So from here, we will be speaking firstly to Isaiah Holmes. He is from Vuna up in Taviuni, grew up in Lautoka, went to school in Lautoka, and then ended up in a situation where he was convicted for counterfeiting. We have Isaiah. Isaiah, first of all, thank you on behalf of our listeners and viewers to agree to this interview.
You're welcome. Thank you, Vijay.
Isaiah, you did share with me that you grew up in Lautoka, most of your primary school and secondary school life. No doubt you had a lot of dreams and aspirations. If we can reflect on the early part of your life.
Yes, thank you, Vijay, for this opportunity. Back in my childhood days, I always been inspired to be an engineer. And yes, that's one something I always look forward to. And unfortunately, in this life, it's uncontrollable. Things can happen anytime. And yes.
When you were in Lautoka, you had that dream to become an engineer. And of course, after you finished from Natambua High School, you managed to get some opportunities that actually fit with your plans?
Yes. First of all, I got a scholarship under the Multi-Ethnic Affairs. And I was qualified to go and study at the University of South Pacific, USP, where I studied 4.5 years and graduated with my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So that was one of the achievements I was able to get in achieving that goal.
You went into the program and then you also managed to get work. How did you end up in a situation where you ended up getting charged?
Yes, peer pressures out there, distractions out there. That's a reality, and that's the truth. I got distracted. I followed the wrong crowd, and that's why I ended up doing what I did. And I was remorseful of my actions, and I paid a heavy price. And I thank God that it's all over now. I'm a free man, and I've served my sentence in prison.
Let's go back to the mistake that you confirmed that you now see that as a mistake that cost you part of your life to be in prison. About that decision that you made. At that time, you definitely thought it was not the right decision, or it settled in later in your mind?
Well, back in that time, I thought I was going to get away with it, to be honest. But then things didn't go the way I planned it. Then ended up I got caught, and after being convicted, I realized I made a terrible mistake, very terrible mistake that cannot be undone. But all I could do was just pay the price and move forward.
The counterfeiting of $100 notes, no doubt, it is an offense under the Crimes Act. And what made you do that? Were you mass producing for the a number of people, or what made you take that action?
Basically, I wanted to have a farewell party that evening. And because I was leaving one department in my the current company I was looking for, I was moving from one department to another. So while I was trying to host the party, I ran out of funds. I had no money at that time. And that's when the idea came in. I don't know how it came to me that time. It just came like that time, and I was really desperate. Because sometimes when you borrow money from people, you feel that embarrassment. People will start thinking bad of you. Oh, this fellow is asking for money. So all those thoughts started coming to my head that time. So what I did, this foolish idea came up of counterfeiting the notes, just so that I could get that party across the line, which was a terrible mistake from my end.
And you got caught on the same night?
Yes, correct. I got caught on the same night. Because it was a first time mistake. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a real criminal like how some people classify others. It was just a foolish mistake that I did that cost me big time.
What was going through your head when you actually were caught on the wrong side of the law that night? You knew that the action was coming now, that something may happen.
Yes, it was shocking at first, as discussed, shocking to my system. I didn't expect to go down the wrong path. This silly mistake, after coming to that realization point, I realized that I lost everything. I lost my job. I got fired from my workplace. There was no second chance. And on top of that, in prison, when you have four walls around you, then no one's there, you feel cut off from the rest of your family. That's when I realized that I was deeply wrong and remorseful of my actions.
When you did commit the offense, were you in a relationship? What about our parents? How was your family life?
Okay, family life. My mom passed away from type 2 major stroke, so I was still grieving as well. I just lost my mom. So back in 2018. On top of that, since I was growing up, I had no father figure. My father wasn't there when we were growing up as children, so I had no guidance when I was a young kid. I had to rely on my uncles and other family members, my brother-in-law, Nicholas Water. He was one of these old prison psychologists. Yeah, he acted like a father figure to me as well. So the thing is this: when you don't have a role model, someone to guide you in life, that's where you are vulnerable to making a lot of mistakes.
So when you had gone into, and we'll talk about your case, your remand first of all. Yeah. So let's go back to that, Isaiah. After that night that you were caught, doing what you had done, what happened next?
One, I was arrested first time for me to sleep in a cell. It was new to me, but it's all, life is an experience. When you make a mistake, you will learn what's on the other side of doing the wrong thing. So that's what I went through. So it was my dark days. One, I got separated from my family, friends. I could not talk to anybody. As in, when you get convicted, so we are in the police station. In the police station, the laws are very strict. You cannot even touch your phone and all that. So that's when I realized I made a terrible mistake, and I wish I could rewind time.
Your freedom was being taken away already.
Correct. Freedom, that's correct. That's the right word. When your freedom is confiscated from you, that's where you realize, and I was in deep regret that night on when this incident happened.
So when you went into remand and you stayed there for 35 days while things were being further investigated.
Yeah.
You've never been in remand before that?
Never. It was my first time.
How old were you then?
I was 29 years old when I went into remand, and trust me, remand is it's worse than prison itself. It's I would say prison is not good for anybody because it's where people who break the law go and serve their sentence. So basically, how I can say it's hell on earth. And when your freedom is taken away from you, and you will see the real person comes out, the real you. That's what I experienced in remand.
After the remand, and you were, after many court dates, you were convicted and sentenced to 3 years imprisonment, but given 18 months parole to be part of the sentence, to be 18 months of parole. And of course, the good behavior was also part of the process when you went into prison, now as a convicted prisoner. Can you tell us what was going through your head with the family outside? What was going through your head? What were some of the things that you started to experience as the prison sentence started?
Okay, prison is a different world. I would say this because the system in prison and the life outside is two different platforms. For example, in prison, there are certain things you can't do. If the officers say you have to run, you have to run. You have to do this, you have to do this. So it's a place where people like me, you wouldn't wanna go in, because one is I like the treatment inside. You get a good sleep, you get free food and all that. But the part of being cut off from your family, that was the hardest thing to accept. Being cut away from your wife and your kids and your brothers and sisters, it's really tough in prison. It's like you're all alone in that battle. So it's like walking into a battlefield where you're on your own. And that's what I experienced in prison. It was a lesson learned. In prison, the only thing I could look forward to was counting down the days on my sentence. I made my own calendar, as calendars is not allowed inside. So we drafted our own calendar and we were just ticking off the days. We just couldn't wait to get out because basically we just wanted our freedom back. I just wanted to be normal. In prison, it was a bit abnormal because there are certain rules and regulations that you have to abide by. And the police is always monitoring you. So that's an honest opinion from my end. And the food inside was not really as to the standards of the food I ate outside. So basically, it was quite harsh, but something I had to accept and move on.
Also, in the process, accepting that you made a mistake?
Yes, correct. Terrible mistake. It's in the past. I cannot undo it, but I just had to accept it, pay the heavy price, and move on in life. That was the only thing I could do.
You also talked about you tried very hard as far as good behavior was concerned. You worked very hard on that. What was your motivation and what were the challenges that came with it?
Hey, one of the motivation is while I was serving my sentence inside prison, my wife was pregnant, and I found out right on my birthday inside when she told me the good news that she was 2-3 months pregnant just before I got incarcerated. So I had high hopes of trying to get out in time so that I could support my newborn child. And this was my first child, and that was one of the motivations I was trying to do to get out of prison. Some of the challenges was inside prison, yes, temptations will come, distractions, things that are illegal. One thing that's illegal today is try not to get into a fight inside prison. When you go inside a dorm, you'll always have somebody there who will always want to be the alpha dog. So I tried avoiding myself getting into fights because I knew it would affect my early release. So I had to be a real disciplined boy inside prison in order to get out early.
Your motivation being that you're about to be a father. That's correct. And did that pay off for you?
Yes, it did. It did pay off. Since I was a very good boy inside prison, they decreased my sentence by 1/3. And then after applying for the employment release, my sentence got reduced further by 4.5 months. So within 7.5 months, I was out. Just before my wife gave birth in May, I was out by April to go and see the birth of my newborn daughter.
How was that feeling when you knew that you were going back home?
It was a big achievement. Big congratulations. One, we all have our dark days. We all make mistakes in life. So that's why when I was in prison, I also read a Bible verse. Sorry, I'm a Christian. That it says we all make mistakes. We are all sinners and we are fallen short of the glory. That is why people should not judge others. Because when you judge others, our Father in heaven will judge you also. So after absorbing that Bible verse into my mind, I've accepted that mistake and now I've moved on. I've got my job restored and I'm back with my family. I'm reconciled back to my family and I'm now back in peace and I've got my freedom back.
How has restorative justice worked for you in terms of the Yellow Ribbon campaign?
Restorative justice, how it has worked for me is, one is it helped us realize our mistake. We all make mistakes and yes, I've learned to pick up the broken pieces in my life and also I've learned to move forward in life.
That process to realize that you've made the mistake,
yeah.
And when you were locked up behind those walls, what would have been your darkest days or which made you really turn that I have to really act or make sure I get out of this?
The darkest days in prison will be the first week. When you enter prison, that is where you will hear all these thoughts coming to you, saying it's the end of the road, it's over for you, you cannot apply for a job elsewhere because now you have a criminal record. I've tried to battle those thoughts in my head. I did some Bible reading. That's why if you read the book of Ephesians, sorry, I'm a Christian.
You don't have to apologize.
I'll explain it from a spiritual side. It is not a war against flesh and blood. It's a war against spiritual powers, wiles of the devil, fury darts coming from the evil one. And that's what happened. It came first as a thought, and that thought is what resulted in the action. And with that action I did, it resulted in consequences, and the consequences was prison. And now I've accepted that and moved on in my life.
You did say temptations came, Isaiah, for you.
Yes, correct.
Must have been difficult.
Yes, some temptations are appealing to the eyes. One is the first temptation that came was what I heard the thought say is what it told me, I will get away with it. I won't be caught. That's one of the temptations that came. And this is a reality in life, in this generation. Temptation is out there. And we as believers in Christ, we need to be very careful with temptations because with these temptations, you can go down the wrong path.
You said you also got a good Christmas gift from at the right time. If you can talk about that as you had applied for your employment early release.
Yes, correct. Initially, when I went into prison, I found out about the early release program. So I started attending classes, but with the early release program, there were some requirements needed in order for that program to work. And one of the requirements was an employment letter. So what I did is I wrote an apology letter to my former employer, whom I was with before I got incarcerated. And thanks to his help, he blessed me on Christmas Day with my contract. he sent a contract to the prisons, and using my wife was the messenger. She brought it right to me over here during Christmas Day, and thanks to the officers of Fiji Corrections Services, they came and offered me my contract, where it was signed right on the Christmas Day. And it was one of the best Christmas gifts I've ever received, and which was able to help me apply for my early release.
So Isaiah, your story has ended from what you mistakes you made.
Yeah.
You paid for your mistakes. Now, when you went out, you were there for your wife when she gave birth to your first daughter, and also you had a job.
Yes.
What are some of the outcomes or the learnings that you take forward now in your life, which you're using for your family, and what can you share for the people out there?
Okay, some of the lessons learned is, one, we need to be very careful with the law. Do not attempt or try to break the law, because trust me, prison is not a place for this young generation. People today should be very careful with the thoughts that enter the head. They should be very wise. You should use wisdom. You should be very discreet with your actions. And yes, after what I went through, I would like to warn this young generation today, all these drugs going around and all these new activities happening. Please be very careful. I've experienced prison. Prison is something I wouldn't want to recommend. It will be a no-no place for you. Trust me, after what I've been through, I do not want to go back inside. And basically, I want to be out there looking after my family. I don't want to be cut off my family. I want to be there to support my family whenever they need me, and I want to be with my family at all times.
Isaiah, thank you very much for talking to us today. And on behalf of our listeners and viewers, I know it's difficult, but you are showing to the people that, yes, you made a mistake, you have learned your lessons, and you're moving along. And all the best to you and your young family, and to you in your career. And we will be back after this break. About 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine. And what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just the issue in relation to General Secretary, was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
Vijay, no one is above the law.
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
As a result of that bad policy, by the end of this month, we would have lost close to about $70 million in government revenue.
Bula Vinaka, I'm Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Watch it live on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and we are still here at the Fiji Correction Center, Tangimodia Art Gallery, speaking on this very important issue of restorative justice, how it works, and talking to some of the people who have been former inmates. You heard from Isaiah Holmes before the break, and we have got 33-year-old Saimoni Ubitau, who grew up in Suva most of his life, and is here with us. Thank you, Saimoni, for sharing your story with us on Fiji Village Straight Talk. So, Saimoni, you grew up in Suva, going your whole life in Suva, going to school in Suva. What were your dreams and aspirations as you were growing up? What you wanted to be in life?
My goals and my dream in life was to travel around the world, settle with a good family. Most likely is to travel with my parents, my mom and my dad, and to get a good job and to be stable on my financial. That's all.
Now, on a certain night, you were about 24, 25 years old. You decided to go out clubbing, I believe, despite some instructions from your dad.
Well, on the day of my accident, I went out clubbing with my friends, drinking, and then I somehow knocked out outside the club, and then I woke up. Then the bonders gave me the car keys. I hopped inside the vehicle.
Your vehicle.
Yes. And then I traveled home. And the next minute, I was on my way home. I got into an accident up in Nasoli. The last thing that I saw was when you pass the LT, you have the TFL board there. So that was the only last thing that I saw. From there to the Nasoli Mosque, I don't remember anything. I ran into the lamppost. I don't remember hitting the pedestrian that was crossing.
You're charged with drunk driving. You were and then convicted of drunk driving and dangerous driving, causing bodily harm and manslaughter.
Yeah.
You hit 2 pedestrians
Yes.
on the road. Definitely, it's something you can't recover from, knowing that first of all you were drunk, and secondly you slept on the wheel.
Yes, I slept on the wheels.
What happened when you came to your senses when you hit the pedestrians and then a lamppost?
Well, the first thing when I got out of the vehicle, the first thing that came into my mind was to try and help the pedestrian take them to the hospital, which I actually did. I put them into the vehicle, we went together to the hospital, and then from the hospital, I took myself to the station. And then from the station, they took me back to Naikalivou.
It's a very difficult situation, Saimoni, to be involved in something like what you were involved in. How did you deal with it at the age of about, you're saying 24, 25?
Well, when it comes to road accident, the first thing that you need to do is try and save the people who is badly ridden. So that's what I basically did, was to try and save them. And when I'm trying to save them, I took them to the hospital. And after that, later on, when I was sitting outside the hospital, and I was thinking, oh my God, what did I just did? But it was the first things first.
After you went to the police, can you recall what happened after all the statements were taken and you were sent to remand? How was it on the first night when you were told that you will be remanded in custody?
Boy, first of all, when I heard it, I looked at this, my parents was crying, and I don't know, I have no idea what remand is about. So, well, I have to be a man and go about it. So I came, they had to cut my hair and so forth. And the first night in remand was just a nightmare. Worse than a nightmare, I must say.
What was going through you? Why do you say it was worse than a nightmare?
Because people are congested inside, and I don't know how to explain it, but and you were given one uniform for 2 weeks. 2 weeks you're gonna have to wear that same uniform when I went into remand. And there was like poor communications, and I think it was like actually hard, especially when you're behind bars. You are just there to wait for your date of your next court date in remand.
As the case went on and eventually you were convicted of those charges,
Yes, CJ.
of course, that you went into the prison system. You said you were in a relationship, you had your parents outside. How did you go through life in prison knowing that your freedom has been taken away based on the mistake that you made?
Well, the day that I got sentenced, I have already spoken to my wife. I told my wife, it's either I'm going to go inside or not, but we'll see from there. And, well, somehow I got sentenced and I had to go inside convict. And when I came here, the only thing that like was on my mind, because knowing that I'm like the only one at home and the only breadwinner at home, and so I was really thinking of how is my wife going to take care of everything when I'm going inside. So what I did was I let free of my wife. I told her, you need to go. I'm not going in for a week or two or a month. I'm going in for years. So you need to move on and you need to carry on with your life. And she said, no, I'm not leaving you. I'm going to stay. And which she actually did. She waited for me all that while. But my main worry was my parents. Because my wife, she's a nurse, and and during that time it was COVID lockdown, and they were locked down somewhere, and my parents was like alone at home. And communication inside convict was just very hard. And you only get to go on the phone like I think once every week or maybe every fortnightly. Life in prison was a bit tough.
Do you think you're ready for prison? Ready to survive in prison?
On that various moment, I have no choice but to. But I was ready for prison.
I'll go back and say, was it worth it for what you did that night and in the morning? First of all, getting drunk, and then secondly, driving the vehicle while you were drunk. At what point in time did it really sink in for you that what I've done was really wrong?
It was an accident. I made a wrong choice. So I deserve what has been placed to me. So yes, Vijay.
How did you deal with it mentally while you're in prison? I asked the question because based on restorative justice, knowing that you've never been to prison before, and this was a big mistake that you had made, and then the prison system, the correction service has got a yellow ribbon campaign. Did it work for you?
Yes, it did.
How did it work?
Well, for me, prison, it worked out for me because I had to leave everything aside, forget about everything that is outside, and I need to focus on what's inside prison. And so I saw this yellow ribbon program, and I went to the psychologists. I seek for advice. Then I asked them, how do we do this? Then they told me, if you're on your parole period, then you can start going to classes, attending classes. And I didn't know that all my sentence was like parole. So I was basically, when I confronted them, they told me that yes, you are eligible to start on your classes, the Yellow Ribbon program. It's more of rehabilitation. And then, so I had my classes. I attend them all, and the main thing for them is sponsors, sponsors from home, parents, the spouse. So I had all that. I had all of that on my back.
How important was the support from outside, from your families, from your wife, and even eventually the employer?
It was very important for me because I want to go back out there and I wanted to be a changed person and look after my parents.
There can be a lot of temptations and challenges in prison as well. How did you deal with that?
Well, at the starting of my sentence, I promised myself that I'm only here to do my time and I'm going back out. I'm not here to do any other thing, which is what I actually did all of my time in prison. And that's why everything was so easy for me, because the officers, they had their trust on me.
How did you deal with your mental health, knowing that you're a young man, you had committed those offenses, you are in prison now, and as you said, that you've got your loved ones waiting outside and you have got your freedom taken away, you behind those walls?
At first, it wasn't going right for me, but I'm so thankful to the psychologists of ongoing meetings with me, so I get to tell them whatever is on my mind.
What was in your mind?
Well, of course, Vijay, the bad thing that you did, you obviously think what's happening outside. And you'll be missing out on a lot of things. Because the only thing that we do is we lie down, we sit and think, and we overthink things inside. So the only time that we see the psychologist, that's the only time we go and offloaded it. Then, at least like it's a big relief for us. And not only that, and once like we had this lockdown, so we trained myself to just let everything be the way it is.
Now, coming out into the community, you would be hearing a lot that there's real concerns out there of substance abuse, a lot of people drinking and driving, a lot of young people doing drugs out in the community. You were saying you have learned from your mistakes. You are on this show now. Those people will be watching around Fiji and around the world. What is your message to them?
Well, my message to the youth will be, your decision determines your destination. So if you choose bad, you'll end up in a bad place. If you choose good, you'll end up in a very good place. Say no to drugs. And when you drink, you don't drive.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Saimoni Ubitau with his story in relation to how he has managed to overcome the challenges from the time that he was charged, convicted, serving his time, learning from his mistakes, going through the system that's in place of restorative justice, and then getting out into the community again and working as a roads inspector for China Railway. We'll be back after this break. About 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine. And what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just the issue in relation to General Secretary, was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
Vijay, no one is above the law.
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
As a result of that bad policy, by the end of this month, we would have lost close to about $70 million in government revenue.
Bula Vinaka, I'm Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Watch it live on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and we are still focused on the issue of the Fiji Correction Service, the work that they have been doing, speaking to the former inmates, Isaiah Holmes and Saimoni Ubitau. In our final segment for this show, we are talking to Suba Correction Center Officer in Charge and the Deputy Superintendent of Corrections, Josaia Naikalivou. Thank you very much, Deputy Superintendent, for appearing on our show and also talking about this very important issue. Now, you've been in the service for quite some time. That from 1998, you have been in the Fiji Correction Service in various roles, moving from one correction facility to the next. Definitely must have been difficult way back in 98 in how you had to look after inmates compared to now.
Good luck, Vijay. Yes, as you already alluded, my name is Josaia Naikalivou. I'm the officer in charge of Suba Correction Center, currently the officer in charge of Suba Correction Center, which houses very interested inmates at the moment, as we speak. I entered the service way back in 1998 as a custody officer, and posted up to various institutions till my present posting as the officer in charge of Suba Correction Center.
As I said, it must have been quite different back in the day when you were dealing with inmates compared to now. What would be some of the different ways that Fiji Correction Service is dealing with the inmates compared to before?
Well, before, as you alluded, the inmates back then, the Fiji Correction Service was known before as the Fiji Prison Service. Fiji Prison Service went till the pandemic shift from containment to corrections. While way back during the prison years, there was no rehabilitation program introduced to the system. First, there was no processes put into place to rehabilitate the inmates until we shift from containment to corrections. And then it's where all the rehabilitation program.
So the program before Yellow Ribbon came into being, you just had a process of an inmate comes in, you just lock them up, and there's no process of rehabilitation at all.
And then this, as for in Suba Correction Center, we admitted, they allocated to, as a receiving center, we allocated them to other correction centers according to the offense they committed and their sentencing period. And they allocated together with their labor or their work. That's it. With them.
What's the difference now?
For now, as soon as they enter the institution for Suba Correction Center, a process of rehabilitation programs put into place from day one until they have been transferred to other institutions.
What is the process of rehabilitation? You may know also at times people had criticized the campaign when they did not understand it before, that it was a way for people to come out of the corrections facility earlier than the time they're supposed to serve. Knowing that you have been in the system for long, is the process first that the inmate fully understands and appreciates that what he had done was wrong, he or she had done was wrong?
The process that in place from day one, we assess them according to the offense they committed, and there are certain treatment programs to treat the offending behaviors. For instance, for alcohol, we have alcohol. We have alcohol and substance abuse programs that treat the offending behavior that's in line with the offense that they committed.
So if it's a violent crime, you have other programs.
We have anger management,
Sex crimes, etc. How do you, if you can explain that in detail, that'll be good.
Okay, now we have programs in place to treat the offending behaviors. Anger management, alcohol and substance abuse. They are assessed according to the crime they committed, and we have programs in place to treat the offense that they committed.
So there's no easy way out of getting into the program without understanding what they've done is wrong.
Yes. While being committed into the programs, in weeks, then they will come to realize the offense that they committed, to accept it and move forward.
So, and you have a specialist working with the Fiji Correction Service on this?
We have specialists, we have psychologists, counselors who have been employed to deliver these programs for the inmates.
There are also definitely challenges with some of the inmates where you may be trying very hard, but they may not be changing. So how are you dealing with those challenges?
Yes, we have inmates who don't want to be part of the programs. We see them often coming in and going out again. We have most of the inmates who don't want to be part of the programs. So we have, but majority, we are part of the rehabilitation programs in our various institutions.
What is being done to make sure that this program continues to be successful?
Well, from our part, it's not only the correction officers. We have stakeholders who are also delivering their service inside and make sure that the rehabilitation programs is a success for our offenders, that is for the inmates.
But with making sure that the treatment program is working, how do you assess that your treatment program is working? From your perspective as the officer in charge at Suba Corrections Facility.
Well, the Inmate program's been used by FCS. Some of the inmates that have undergone the rehabilitation programs, once they're released, were able to manage to find employment rather than coming back to the prison.
Contrabands and other types of issues will always be an issue that the Fiji Correction Service has been battling with. We know the Fiji Correction Service talked about even a drugs program now, drug rehabilitation really needed in the corrections facilities. How serious is the Correction Service in ensuring that these types of activities stop immediately?
Well, contraband is one of our major challenges in various correction centers. correction centers, and one of the way of trying to tackle this this contraband is during visiting hours on Saturdays. Yeah? We address the family members about the contrabands, because most of these family members, they are the one trying to infiltrate the contraband into the institution, either through visiting items or coming to the court or to the hospital and trying to passing the contraband to the inmates. And that is one of the challenges we've been facing. We're doing our awareness, and especially on Saturdays, we are trying to play the message to the members of the public and to the family members who come for visiting about the contraband.
And what type of contrabands are you concerned about that you are finding regularly now?
Currently, we are finding phones and marijuana, Fijian suki.
You've had some cases of methamphetamine and needles as well?
In some cases, powdered white substance has been believed to be methamphetamine, but they've been sent for analysis.
What type of help does Fiji Correction Service need going forward that will assist you in continuing to rehabilitate inmates well?
Well, from my perspective, I think we need financial support in order for us to fully implement our programs, not only inside and also by helping inmates once they are released.
You have a number of things going on as far as your programs and activities are concerned. You had your Yellow Ribbon March last week in Nausori, and you continue to encourage the community to work with you. As I've said earlier, some may be suspicious on whether the correct type of programs and activities are running in facilities. What's your message out to the people out there who may be not fully supporting your program?
Well, our rehabilitation team, they've been going around the country doing awareness on the rehabilitation work, on the programs that we are doing, and the works that we are doing to help the offenders once they are released. So our main the gist of the message that we want to give to the members of the public is for them to support the Yellow Ribbon program and also to support the members of the family who will be discharged. Because at the end of the day, they have a place to go. And if they are not received at their home, then the question is, who will take care of them?
Sometimes we're dealing with the issue of repeat offenders. How difficult is it to, what are some of the challenges where you continue to see some of the offenders coming back to prison all the time?
With most of our repeated offenders, they are just roaming around in town. So once they are released, they have nowhere to go, because as I already stated, they are not received at their home, not welcomed by their own family members. So they try to find a place where they feel safe. So for them, it is just where they feel safe in town, roaming around in town.
As we finish off, Deputy Superintendent, a lot of people would have heard the stories of the former inmates and also your struggles and challenges, including your successes. For those that want to come out and assist you and want to learn more about the program that we're doing, who can they reach out to in terms of assistance and understanding?
Well, we can, we have the our rehabilitation team, as under the guidance of Director Rehabilitation, and can be reached on his mobile number 9905 to each other.
Deputy Superintendent, thank you very much for your time. We know that you are a very busy man looking after the Suva Corrections facility. And we also thank you and the Fiji Correction Service for opening up the facility for us to come and have open discussions. No questions were sent in advance. There was no conditions set for this show. And we are glad that the Fiji Correction Service allowed this to happen for you to understand. Just a few days after the Yellow Ribbon Walk in Dosori on the program that continues to be run at the FCS facilities. And as has been stated, to learn more, understand more, you can contact the Fiji Correction Service. From here at the Korovou Corrections Facility at the Art Gallery, I am Vijay Narayan. Join you again next week.